The story I'm about to tell you is 100% true. A fact with my hand up, my hand to God, this happened. Um, this will happen to me in the second grade. Now, the only thing I am going to change is the name of my teacher. We'll call her Miss Jones because, knowing my luck, this video will find its way into her surviving relatives, and I'll have fingers pointed at me accusing me of mocking the dead or whatever, speaking ill of the dead. I don't want that to happen, so we'll call her Miss Jones. Miss Jones was a heavy set black lady, probably in her early 50s. She was the meanest teacher I've ever seen in my life. Let me give you just a few examples. I learned the term two-faced from observing her as a second grader. When a teacher would come around another teacher, or especially a parent would come to the classroom, she was the sweetest, nicest lady you ever met in your life. And as soon as that door would close, and it was just back to her and us, you could almost literally see the horns come out. This was back in the day where it was still legal for teachers to paddle students, but you were only supposed to give 5 swats. That was it. And I saw her grab up this little girl and took that paddle to that little girl's backside, and I was counting on my fingers at my desk. 6, 7, 8, 9. She beat the crap out of that little girl. I remember during a remedial reading class, I wasn't in it, but I was, it was all in one classroom, and I couldn't help miss this bit of dialogue. Her saying to one of the students, they were learning long A's and short A's, how to pronounce them, yada yada. And she said to the student, "You wouldn't know a long A from a short A if it came up to you on the street and hit you in the face." Also, I think, well, some of you probably know Jeff. He's my uncle. Also, I play in a band with him. Well, he went to the same school I did just 10 years previous. A friend of his was in Miss Jones's class, okay? After he graduated, after Jeff's friend graduated, this is 10 years later, he saw Miss Jones in a store, okay? This is the kind of lasting impression this woman left on this guy. He goes to the next aisle and yells, calls her, let's just say, some not nice names, okay? That's the kind of lasting impact this woman had on certain students, and certainly left me with a certain impact. But sometimes the universe has a way of redeeming itself. It was during math class, and I remember this like it was yesterday. I guess it was. I don't know if we had gone out for our first recess or not, because we had a recess in the morning at lunch and then one in the afternoon. But it was in the morning, I remember that. It was during math class, and I was staring down at my math book, and I was feeling really, really sick. And I looked at the guy sitting next to me. I remember his name. It was the only year that this kid had come to my school. I never seen him before then. After second grade, never saw him again. And I looked at him and I said, "I don't feel good." And he said, "Go tell teacher." Not the teacher, but go tell teacher. Now, Miss Jones was sitting at the desk where we did reading. And the desk looked like a donut cut in half. She sat on one side, and then all the students could sit around her in like a semicircle at this table. Well, I got up and I walked around, and she had to look to her left to see me. So I'm standing there, and I'm really sick. And I say to her, and I can't hardly talk, I said, "Miss Jones, I'm going to..." And she put that hand on that hip, and she cocked that head at me, and she looked at me and said, "You're going to what?" Almost like I was about to fight her or something. Like I had to pull a switchblade out or something. But she looked at me and said, "You're going to what?" And I said, "I'm going to..." We're talking projectile child vomit. I threw up all over the table. I threw up on her dress. I threw up on her chair. I threw up on the wall behind her. It went everywhere. She jumped up. I've never seen a woman that big move so fast. Get to the trash can! Get to the trash can! Brrr! Brrr! That was great. My grandma came a little while later and picked me up. I was sent down to the nurse's station. They had a couch that you could go in and lay down on if you weren't feeling real well. Well, I went and laid down on the couch. My grandma came and picked me up, and I went home. You know, for every dirty look that teacher gave me or someone in my class, for every time she used that paddle, especially when it was not called for every insult she threw at us, I got a modicum, a little bit of payback. I have to say, in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? No. But it kind of makes me laugh and smile. That's why I wanted to share the story with you. You know, they say revenge is a dish best served cold. Well, in this case, it was served warm and chunky.